Quick disclaimer, these videos are meant for educational purposes only. Anything said or shown in any of these videos are personal opinion and my perspective. Trading carries a high level of risk, so anything done is your responsibility.
Been good.
Always a pleasure.
Been good. It's been good. You know, it's strange because I started looking at your stuff probably about 2 months ago. Usually I used to trade, I've been trading for quite a bit of time, but I used to trade Elliott wave, but with different variations to it.
Oh, interesting. I'm actually in all of these right here based on Elliott. That's funny. Nice.
So I've been trading quite a bit. I actually do this full time.
Oh,
But-
cool. That's beautiful, dude.
But the thing about what you did and you came in, it just like, to me, it was like another door that I hadn't seen. It's weird. It's like it opened up another thing. But the problem with this now that I'm battling with and I'm hitting my wall against every time is, how do you exactly? I've worked out a system on how to enter the trades, right?
Right.
I understand but my problem is, how do you specifically? Because sometimes I actually compare I compare our trades. I see your trades that you put up and I compare what I would have done the same thing or I would have done it differently and whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But
Sure.
but my problem is just that, like, what's your strategy in taking trades? Sometimes I use the Wyckoff and
You mean in my direct approach, or like how do I get it executed in time?
no, I mean, what's your once you get confirmation and everything, but what are you looking for when you actually place the trade? The S&D's done, it's done, everything's come down to it. What do you?
Yeah, sure. So we can, if you'd like, what we could do is, so have you seen the most recent webinar or no? Most recent one?
Which one is that?
The most, like 51, like most recent, just now, this week.
I think I did. I must have.
So like what I was gonna say is, you'll notice, right? So even after this call, just to take this further, right? Because we're gonna go deep in this one, but just to go further, you're gonna see in many of the recent webinars, like maybe webinar 40 until 51, is all breakdowns of the exact same thing of what I'm pretty much doing, for my main strategy, right? And you're gonna see me break it down basically from start to where and why I took it, right? So you'll see in the most recent one why I took this one, for instance, right? So what I could do with you right now is we could go over something like this, right? This is one of my best trades for the year so far, right? Like this was insane. And I can break down what I was looking for and why I was looking for it, how my thought process worked out, and we can go deeper on that. And then after, sure. So we'll start with that. And then after, of course, I would suggest that, because I don't want you to pay me to go over every trade that I've ever done, because it's not going to make sense.
No. That'd be stupid. Yeah.
So what I'll start with is I'll break down this guy, and then we can break it. So what I'll actually do is I'll break down my actual image of my system, and then we'll break down this guy in respect to the system image, just so you could see where basically my thought process lies, why I'm doing certain things, and why I'm entering. All right.
100%.
Yeah, and also because I can't go back in time on some of the other trades because they're all mostly very low second time frames. Like we might not even have access to this one. I don't know. Let's see. 1 second. Okay, we still have access, I think.
How do you trade 1 second? I've never seen anyone trade 1 second. I thought it was crazy. I thought it was crazy.
The same way you trade any time frame, just a little bit faster.
I think I was the crazy one. A lot of people that I've met and I've spoken to about me trading in the 5 minutes all told me I'm freaking crazy.
No, you never listen to anybody in the space. You do what works for you always. 100%. Like even today, like my day was trying to confirm this, and then this, and then I was confirming this, but nothing happened. Like it did its main breakdown, and then I tried to confirm this with a 1 second, but you can see it just hit, instantly went through. So no trade, right? But we're gonna talk about everything right now. So, we'll break down UJ because that was a great trade for me, like one of my best of the year. And we're gonna start with this very quickly. So this overall is my system, basically in one visual. This is really all it comes down to, right? What it comes down to is some kind of bearish or bullish market, doesn't matter, right? So in this case, it's a bearish market, and it's creating bearish MBs that are holding price short, and all of a sudden you have a displacement. So for me, that's a candlestick break, right? In this case, this would be a candlestick break above that basically validates the first MB, aka a break of structure as well, creating a large BOS or a large bullish MB, but also in the case that it comes from a different pullback within the move. So that's my rule of, that's this rule, where if there's a pullback that takes out a low, so like this candle, right? If this was the low and then this happened with a break, that's not the low, this is the low. But if this is the low and then this is the break, that's my low. Right, very simple. So from that approach, if it came from this pullback, if this pullback met that rule, that's the pullback, and this one no longer matters. So this is my overall bias. This is not a protected low though. This is the protected low, right? So if price came here and goes long, that's okay. I know it's coming from the MB, but this is where I would want to confirm it, right?
I see.
So at the same time though, this is where it gets a little confusing for some people, because like there's changes that can be made, because based on where I am contextually, which means off a higher time frame, for instance, I will choose or not choose to use a double MB continuously. So what I mean by that is, let's say we get a double MB here, right? So that's BOS number 2 to the top side. So now we have, in this case, again, if there's a pullback here, this is my protected low of this range. And then this is my protected low of this institutional range to there, right? Now, I will not use this zone if this is within a bearish bias on a higher time frame. But if it's in a bullish bias, I will use it, because what it means is institutionally we might be from this leg to this leg. So I'm happy to use this zone still. So I'll confirm either here or here, which are the refined supply and demand zones of the pullback MB.
I see.
Right? So now we only have step 1. This is basically this is my rule for quote unquote structure, right? Because we go structure, S&D confirm. This is my structure rule, and these are my S&D rules. And I will use an S&D based on if it makes sense. So for instance, like on UJ, right? We had this zone for a while. I think you remember we spoke about it last week, right? 8-hour zone. And we've been very bullish on this from the very beginning. But let's say last week, so let's go to a 15-minute. Here we go. Very nice. Right? So what some people were already doing is, for instance, so here you have a move up, right? And MB1 breaks down. MB2, right? So now you have MB1, MB2, and then you have an MB2. So that means this is MB1. This is MB2, which means a lot of people are now going, okay, I can sell this, or I can sell, let's find the high, like somewhere here, or I can sell this, right? That's what people are doing. Now for me, this is valid with this rule, right? That's the flipped, right? MB1, MB2, both valid. But because the bias is overall bullish, I wouldn't even consider this or this break for anything like valid, basically. For me, that's all now fake structure, right? Or what I like to call liquidity, right? So again, just the first step of this is just recognizing that contextually, this simple rule of just structure, so in this case, institutional structure versus this basic structure, is going to change based on where I am in a higher time frame, right? And how do I determine where I am in a higher time frame? Using this exact same rule, just on a higher time frame. That's really it, right? So for instance, right now, today on EU, I was looking to confirm it to go short, right? Now, why was I still using this zone, even though it broke down and then broke bullish? Well, because if you look at it, we're coming bullish, and then we go MB1, MB2. So now I can use this and this. Why am I happy to use this? Because I'm part of a much higher time frame bearish bias that I'm happy to take. Therefore, my double MB break, I'm willing to still use the higher one, because I might be wrong about the actual structure point I'm in. Because we could be in this structure point and go like that, or we could be inside of this section 1 institutional structure point to do this, which it looks like we're doing right now, but I didn't get my confirm, right? So that's fine. It's normal. It's part of the game, right? Whatever. I take break evens, losses, wins, but I also sometimes like never get a trade, right? Very normal. So, so just the understanding here is, you know, the way I even choose these is going to be subjective based on that higher time frame, which is again based on this, which could be based on an even higher time frame, right? Because you'll see sometimes when I do an outlook in a webinar, I'll be on like a daily and say something like, for instance, I'll be like this. I'll say we have MB1, we have MB1, MB2. I'm happy to buy here or here. Why am I still willing to do this? Because the higher time frame, which in this case would be a weekly, is coming from this weekly zone. So it's still going for this. So it makes sense at this lower time frame. We might be wrong about this zone, but it could be part of a bigger institutional structural move that could just be doing this, right? Boom. So that's my rules for determining if and when I should use a double MB or not a double MB, blah, 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 right? But that's my first step in determining any bias in any market. That's like step one for me. So like this week coming into UJ, what are we? Extremely bullish, and we have been bullish, right? We've been very, very bullish, you know, break here, break here. So most recently, basically all I see is, you know, we've made more non-stop breaks to the top side. We have this break now. We have this SND. Let me go refine it. That's really it. I jumped down a few time frames. I refine it to the zone that makes sense to me. So for me right now, you know, like we're still in just MB1 criteria, and here's my refined zone. And all I'm looking for really is just, here's MB1, and I'm just looking for the test of it. So this doesn't even technically exist. I mean, it exists. You could make an argument for it right here, because that's on the daily, right? You have MB1, oops, sorry, MB, here, we'll just draw it, MB1, MB2. So theoretically, you know, if price broke down, you could make an argument for still being bullish from here, right? But in this case, again, contextually, I would be more against this. Why? Because not only is this not just a double MB, because remember, a double MB for me comes off of a bearish market or a bullish market, right? So bearish into double MB. But here it's, right, if we count it, MB1, MB2, MB3, MB4, MB5, which means, yes, you could use this as an MB1, MB2, but in respect to what it's done, this is MB like 4. So I'm not willing to use this if price did break down. Instead, I'd be willing to look to go short into it. And let's say on the top here, I had MB1, MB2. I would actually be willing, MB3, I'd be willing to sell here or here. What, right? Because now the bias has been like displaced, and now the double MB here makes more sense than this double MB here. So that's like my step one of determining structure and bias, right? And then based on that, you can determine what your next liquidity or structural run is, because any structural run is a liquidity point, right? If we're bullish, wherever we're buying here, the bullish range that's been created, the high is always going to be the main liquidity, the main structure point. That's what we're looking for, right? And it might look very similar to, you know, back in the day what you might have been learning as retail, but it's very different because as you do this, you know, like retail's already looking at this as a break lower, right? Because they're more focused on the immediate break, right? A lot of people, they see this and then they go, I'm in a bearish market now. This is a bearish market. No, it's a bullish market, right? That's what happened kind of like with this weekly, right? If you look at this, break, clearly from here, and retail's already bearish on this all the way through. Just trying to sell into any of this, selling all of this, still selling any of it, when we're just looking at this as one break, test, continuation. Because it's one structure created, right?
100%, yeah.
All right, cool. So, you know, that's my step one, which is just figuring out which MBs I want to be utilizing for the given week, the given day, the given minute, whatever it might be, right? Because this is fractal. Happens everywhere. Now, once I have that determined, all I'm pretty much waiting for is for price to tap into that zone. And again, this is where some subjectivity comes in based on the time frame my zone is on. Like if I'm on a higher time frame, I'm going to let price tap in and create this exact same setup on a lower time frame before I even consider my normal entries, right? So what that means is I'm not going to confirm this daily zone or this 8-hour zone with a 1 minute, right? I'm not going to apply my 1 minute to it. Just because for me, it doesn't make sense in this case. So instead, I'll use a 15 minute. This is what you saw last week, and wait for the same setup that makes sense. So in this case, it comes down bearish, right? Makes this high, makes this low, then breaks the high. Where does that break come from? Here's my rule. That's my pullback. That's my high. There's my zone. Now notice this setup here is the exact same setup as this setup here, right? Break, come back, go. Break, come back, go. It's all the same thing. But what I did is I confirmed the bias with a new bias being printed, right?
I see.
Now, there is a case that this price just went like this and then just kept going. In which case, there's probably a good reason I would have missed the move completely. Or maybe I got in on a scalp like somewhere in here on a 1 minute, right? That's how I think. But that's part of the game. Part of the game is allowing moves to just run without you when my confirm, specifically mine, because this is what I use, is not met, right?
I hear you.
Okay, so now we have a way to determine bias, a way to determine the bias within a bigger bias, and then we have way to refine zones based on how we want to refine them, and then we have ways to confirm. And guess what my confirmation is? The exact same thing. I'll look for the MB1 and then look to confirm it instantly, or if it breaks again, I'll look at the MB2 and look to confirm that, or the MB1, and how do I confirm it? With a double MB. Right? Like, And it's nonstop. This is how I'm able to do like this
I hear
second
you.
stuff and this crazy stuff, but because it's all the same thing, right?
Yeah.
It hasn't changed, right? So in this case, the 15-minute comes in, and at that point, right, what you actually have is you have this already happening, right? Because what you have is a higher time frame zone. Here's a higher time frame zone. From the higher time frame zone, you have an MB1. This is this blue box. Boom.
Yeah.
Which means you have this zone that is now real, and you can trade. It's valid. And if it gets there, you can confirm it with a double MB. So this is where I showed this entry on the webinar, because I didn't take this one, but there was a 1-minute entry here. This is a great 1-minute trade. Price comes in, right? Makes this low from this high, makes a break, MB1, right? MB1, makes a break, MB2, now I'm valid to buy. And you can set a limit here. I didn't set one because I wasn't awake. This was London. You can set a limit here and here, because that's the MB1, right? Because both are valid. Here it is, MB1, MB2, right? See these? Here's my break 1, break 2, and then I set a limit. So break 1, break 2, then I set a limit. This one gets hit, begins to run. This one gets canceled because this has now run a new structure. So that means this is now an MB3, and then you can manage this accordingly, and, bam, we're in a great trade. Now, guess what? I didn't trade this. Why? Because it was London. I was asleep. But does that mean I can't trade it anymore? No. Because now what I'm aware of is the fact that we are bullish, right? From that higher time frame. We're still bullish in here. We know we're still heading for this bullish play, which is this high, right? So now, again, I have the same thing. I have a bias. So what I can do now is I can figure out a version of events that makes sense in terms of a buy. So as we played this out, right, I just let it do its thing. I got on around this time right here, and we're getting on. And again, I already know about all that stuff in terms of the higher time frame, where I am, right? Yeah. So what I'm looking for is a reason to go bullish. So even though right now we're getting MB1, MB2, MB3, MB4, like you could have even traded this, right? Like there's probably a 1 to 20 in here, a 1 to 10 in here. Like this is a 1 to 10 probably, right? There's a lot of trades in there that could be taken. And they could run. And that's part of the game, but I'm not looking at that because I'm not interested. I'm interested in the most highest probability for my setup. So I know, once again, just to reiterate, that I'm in this higher time frame zone of some higher time frame, and all I know is that on a lower time frame, this 15-minute, remember that's the 15-minute is right here. That 15-minute has just created this MB1, tested it, and it's on its way to validate MB2 or to liquidate and create MB2, right? This would be MB2, right? Because this is MB1 on a higher time frame. This is MB2, so we're looking for the validation of it or the liquidation of that range. And why can we suppose that it's probably going to liquidate an MB2 even though it hasn't been made? Because we're coming from a higher time frame, MB1, right? So now there's this. So even though this is technically a very simple schematic, there's a lot of discrepancy in terms of how you're going to approach it based on, what you understand about a higher time frame, a lower time frame, how it's moving, what MBs it's forming, and how it's forming them from a zone. So, yep. So again, just looking for the liquidation of this. That's all I was basically looking for. And once again, here's my high that made this low. All I'm looking for once again right now for entries is a break, MB1, and then confirming with what? An MB1 and confirm with an MB2 or double MB, or break again and confirm again with a double MB, right? Because what I'm doing now is I'm basically recreating this entire 1, 2, 3 steps in here. So even though this is all true up here, I'm going to recreate this whole thing in here. So what that means is I need MB1, and if that happens, this will be this one, right? Bearish MBs right here. That's these. These are the bearish MBs. So let's draw it out the exact same way so there is no confusion at all. Yeah, so this is going to be a pretty deep breakdown. Like, yeah, this is going to be a pretty long breakdown. But it's fine. It'll teach a lot, so that's a good thing.
I'm happy about that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So to make it simple now, right? We're going to forget even about the higher time frame, even though it's technically important, but it's not here because of the rules I'm using, right? So what we have is we had a bullish market. We can go left a little bit here to make sure, right? A bullish market, broke bearish, then held bearish, and just broke bearish again. So it's been very bearish. So you have basically MB that made this break, and then you have basically just now this MB, right? But the important thing about this entire thing, so let's delete all this now. The important thing is that we just have a bearish MB. Let's make this black so you know it's an MB. So you can see it like this. Here it is. That's this bearish MB. So let's actually recreate everything in terms of even like labeling. Bearish MB. Therefore, we know that a shift entails a pretty good reasoning for bullishness, no matter where we are. And this is true across any time frame, right? But why am I even more inclined for this? Because I'm already in that bias. But we're not even gonna like think about that. We're recreating this whole thing in here now. That's how my system works, right? So I'll wait, nothing. I'm just doing nothing. I'm just waiting. You know, I have an alert set here. I'm waiting. Does it displace? Nope. So this is still the low for me, right? Because it doesn't break with the body. Great. I'm just waiting. Boom. We get a break, right? So now we have a break of structure to the top side, which means we've put in a bullish MB, but actually, yeah, this is the bullish MB. There we go. That's it. So now we put in our first bullish MB, MB1, and we can put it on top like that because that's where I showed it here. MB1 validation, boom, validated. Is there a real one that caused it? Nope. It came from that area still, right? There's no other, there's nothing else that caused it. Where's my refined zone? Where's this refined zone inside? Boom. Last down candle before the up move. Done. Now what I'm willing to do is if price does come here, I'm going to wait for a double MB or one MB and reconfirm it with a double MB. Right? Same thing. Just on that case. So price comes in, right? So taps it. Great. Now I'm on my 5 second. What am I looking for? I'm looking for a double MB. So where does this low come from? Follow, follow, follow up here. So can I really use this as a confirm? No, because that high is already the 1 minute high. So again, based on context and based on just rules and how they're being met, is there a reason for me to look for a trade here? No, not yet. Maybe it makes a new low. It doesn't. There's nothing to do. Right? You can see I had some zones drawn here. Don't worry about them. They were all intermediate. So you can see there were some intermediate breaks here, and you could have used them, but I would not focus on that right now. It would be very confusing. There's no reason. That's even more discrepancy. And it's very based on very small details. But there were no trades here for me anyway, so we're gonna skip it. Instead, we're gonna let it play out. You know, because in this case, if price came down and made one more low, right, the high could have been here. Which means if this broke, then I can confirm, because that's the MB1 now. But right now, the MB1 of this 5 second is this high, which is the MB2 of a bigger time frame. So it doesn't make sense for you to wait for it to break here and then confirm the immediate price action here, because now it's breaking a higher MB and it's probably going to come deeper, which means this is going to be an easy loss for you if you're not aware of where your rules are being met, right? But if this rule was met here, I'm happy to take it. Why? Because we have space to run. Similarly, right? So similarly, if we right now go to the 1 minute, why am I happy, despite the fact that we're in a random area, to take this bullish break to the top side? Because we're in a higher time frame zone that allows us an area to still run. You see that? So now you're seeing how this higher time frame rules that I applied is applying now to the overall rules that I'm reapplying on this lower time frame and deciding on if I actually want to apply them. Right? So like we spoke about, why am I not looking to trade this bearish MB, even though it's meeting this rule here, right? Because it was bullish, right? It was bullish, 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 became bearish, double MB. Why am I not looking to sell this? Because contextually, it doesn't make sense. So even though the double MB is correct here, right, and valid, I'm not looking to trade it at all. Instead, I'm waiting for the bullish scenario the same way, just because of the fact that we are within, once again, that bullish bias created by that same system. Did I break you, or are we good? Hello, test, test? Oh no, did it disconnect? Oh no. Oh, this is recording. It is recording, nice. Hello, hello? I think you might have disconnected. I'll wait a little bit here. See if you can get back in here. And go through some more questions or something for now.
Hold on.
Oh, hello? You good?
Jesus. What the hell?
Yeah, I don't know. I think your internet cut out, but it's okay. I was waiting. Hold
on. Yes. Jeez.
So, what was the last thing you heard?
Jeez. So I was trying to get okay. I think the last thing I heard was. Wait, hold on. I think we were still explaining the what you call it, You see, the problem I've got different. The way you call it double MBs, I call them something different. But the last bearish, you see the bearish MB, at the ones that you labeled that MB where you have the bearish MB here.
This one right here.
Yeah.
Yeah, this one.
Yeah.
Yeah, so all I was saying basically is even though there is a double bearish MB, right? So we have a bullish bias, bullish, and then bearish, MB1, MB2, bearish double MB. So technically you have this whole thing right here flipped, right? And it's valid. Why am I looking not to trade this as a short at all? Well, because of, once again, the fact that we're in this bullish bias, and this is my target, and I have a good amount of area to move. So all I'm waiting for is a reason to go bullish for myself, right? Instead of forcing just the immediate thing. Because yeah, even though it's valid, and theoretically, you know, maybe it even held. There could be a chance, there's a world, there's a dimension where this held and went. There's other trades that would have done the same thing in this same bias and done this, right? But for me, it doesn't make sense, so I'm not going to trade it. And it's going to work less often for me, right? That's basically it. It just comes down to yourself. So I begin to follow this. And we get our, and again, there's just nothing to take here, right? Why? Because, you know, the 5-second high is here, which means I need a break of this. But if that breaks, that's making a double MB, which means I'd rather be looking at a higher time frame, right?
100%.
So all I'm doing is I'm waiting, still waiting. Boom. We get a break. Displacement. Clear of displacement. Now we have, you know, this was our bearish MB. Now we officially have MB1 validated. Sorry, MB1. We have MB2 validated. MB2, right? Which means here's your MB1. Here's your MB2. Did the MB2 come from a different place? No. This is still the pullback. But then where did it come from an S&D? Because remember, we have to refine our S&D. If we follow it, all mitigated until this down black candle. And then it moves. Done. So now I have a refined S&D within a double MB. Is this one still valid for trades? No, because it was mitigated and then broke. So now all I have is a very simple structure, S&D, look to confirm to go long. That's it. Done, right? And now why am I super positive and actually willing to use this one? Well, because not only is it double MB that's creating now this original thing, but it's also within this same thing, but on a higher time frame, right? So we're still on this step one. We're not even here yet, right? 100%. We're still here. But the reason I'm willing to use this that has now formed here is because of what's happening with this on a higher time frame. On which time frame? The 15-minute and the 8-hour, right? And contextually, the weekly, which is still technically running the liquidity high of a big weekly range. Remember, we were here, and it's now here somewhere. But it's running this liquidity. So all we're looking for is just run however far it wants to. All we know is this is bullish, right? This could continue for the next 3 months doing this, if it wants to, on the weekly. Which means as long as the daily and the 8-hour and stuff is still bullish, there's no reason to switch. That's why I teach you guys to like find the bias, stick to it. Because usually you're going to be correct. Because like remember, what most of retail is still doing, even at this point, right? If you go to the outlook, like yeah, look at this shit, right? Like still 80%, 70% is still very short.
Yeah.
And they've been like this since price was at like the fucking lows of this entire like from I don't even know how they do this, but since price was here, they've been like 80% bearish. Like what the fuck? But whatever, you know. It's like, you know, do what works for you, I guess. It's all good, man. So yeah, back to the 1 minute. Here we go. So we have this MB2 break now. So we understand how we arrived to this location now, right?
100%.
So now all I'm looking for is for price to get here and then give me an MB1 that I can then confirm with a double MB, or an MB2 that I can confirm with a double MB. You see that?
100%.
So
100%.
double MB or double MB. Now all I'm waiting for is for price to come here and then I'll check a lower time frame. So waiting around, right? Yes, it goes high, but has it made a new low? Follow. Nope, this is still the low. This is still the S&D. Yes, these are fine, and technically you could make an argument for trading these, but I would not. Why? Because my system makes sense to have this. And if price does this and runs, it is what it is. I'll come back tomorrow. I'll come back next week, right? That's it. It's as simple as that for me. Like my brain doesn't need the play, right? I'm not here to always get a play. I'm just here to watch it play out, and if it gives me what I need, fantastic, I'm in, right? So I'm waiting for that to be tapped, right? Gets that high. So all we know now is this is the liquidity of that high, right? So that could be a potential target. I mean, I don't use that for myself because I have targets set based on RR now, basically. But, you know, that's where you're looking to target. And look how beautifully that lines up with, like, equal highs or liquidity or what other mentorships like to teach you as, like, yeah, look for the liquidity. You don't need to do that. All you need to do is look for the structural impulse. And usually the next liquidity high of the structure is going to line up with the bias. You see that? It lines up very nicely. Like, whoever's looking at this resistance, you know, support, like double tops, whatever it is, it doesn't matter, right? Because what we're seeing is liquidity being created by the way these ranges are formed. Ranges are going to form in a way that are going to create liquidity for you. Like, even look at this one, right? It was bullish bias. Look where this bullish bias was created before it came down, right? Like, perfectly at all these highs. And then it gives you the entry at, like, the MB. Maybe, you know, you don't get it because of the refine, but if you did the MB, great, you get your entry. That's the run on that liquidity. Right, so like you have liquidity set up with the way we view structure, so you don't have to think about liquidity. You just need to think about structure, then the S&D, then the confirm, and this will almost always entail this, and that's it. And you find this on a higher time frame, and you're almost always going to know where we're heading for in terms of liquidity, right?
100%.
So, all right. So now we're waiting for price to just to basically tap. Looking for the tap. Let's move this over to the right because the trade was a little bit later. Just go like that. Great. So price taps in. We're on our 5 second. Very easy, right? Same thing goes. What created this low? Move up, that high, right? So now what do we have again? Here's our bearish MB. And what are we starting to now see? Right? Bearish MB, right? Looking for now basically bearish MBs, looking for the MB1 first. That's it, right? If price breaks now, there's nothing for me to do. I'm done, unless it absorbs, right? Because what's absorption? If there's a wick. If it's a wick on a higher time frame and then goes up, this is still valid for me. But, you know, either way, low made by this high, that's the bearish MB. If it keeps going, great. It's just holding its bearish MB. If it breaks, we now have a MB1, and then we can confirm. So now all I'm waiting for is a break, if I get it. That's it. Otherwise, I'm done for the day, done for the week, whatever it might be. Waiting, boom. So this is a weird one. You know, it gets a little bit weird on the lower time frames, don't get me wrong. Let's delete all this here. Oh, no, actually, I think my trade's in there. Yeah, my trade's in there. So we'll see if we can recreate the trade because, like, you know, when you're doing this live, it's very different because you're just, when the rules met, you're like, I'm in, right? Based on however you're seeing it.
I hear.
So we're going to delete all these so we can replay this in a way that makes the most sense. You can see, like, I drew these in for the sake of the mentorship, but, like, when I'm trading, this is what my zones look like. I'll just draw them in quickly because, it, you know, I'm on a 5 second chart. We're going to do this. Can delete all this so you can see me show you the confirm. So basically at this point, right, all I see on my chart is boom, break, right? I don't care that it's a down candle. All I care is that there's a body above it. For me, that's displacement because that means that some kind of institution or big money bought so heavily here that it had to jump above this data point, which means when it jumped above that data point and made a body, whether it's a bearish body or a bullish, right? It doesn't matter how we view this. This could be like this. This is why it's valid. I don't care if this is an up candle or a down candle, but it's validated it, right? Yeah. So now all I'm looking at is, okay, we've made a displacement. We have MB1. Did the MB1 come from a different place? Yeah, it did. You see this little pullback here? That's where the MB1 came from. That's MB1. So technically, this is your MB1. If you really want to think about it from a fractal perspective, that's your MB1. And this is no longer important. This is where I'm looking for price to technically retest any area here to go long. Now, where could that area be? Because remember, we have MB1 now. We need to find a refined S&D. So we have this, right? Last few play around. So let's just go like this for the MB. Or we can just do this, MB1, right? Simple. Because again, I do that thing for visual because that's how I started learning early in my game, because I would see the bigger zone, and when I saw it tested, I understand that would be mitigation. Right now, I can look at this as just normal break and be aware of what's going on, right? That's basically it. But I was drawing it for you just so you could visualize what I kind of visualized in the start of my journey, right?
100%.
So you have this S&D, right? Down move before the up move. Basically, like, you know, it pauses for a while and then just gaps. So clearly something in here, if it needs to be mitigated. Similarly, I see this and I see gap and then I see pause, big pause in price, and then huge move through. So for me, this is also a valid zone. Both are valid, right? So this is one of the only times where I won't just use the deepest zone. I'll still use a higher one because it makes sense in terms of what happened in the candle, right? So now we have S&D1, S&D2. Let's draw it out, not with my drawings, but with the actual things, so it's easier to see. SND1, SND2, just like that. So I'm happy to use both of them, right? And why am I willing to use this even though it looks like it's mitigated? Because this mitigation is happening after the break, right? Break, mitigation.
I see.
Which means that this is a valid zone until it either A, breaks new highs, or B, just completely fails, right?
Yeah.
So I'm happy to use this as a confirm or this as a confirm. Now, what's my confirm? Double MB. And if I get a double MB, I'm happy to place a limit. That's it, right?
Wow.
But then, here's what happens. So price is playing around. I think it breaks one more time. So I'm going to let it break one more time. I believe. So I think this is where it breaks one more time. Let me double check this. Yeah. Okay, good. I knew it. Okay, good. So it breaks one more time right here. You see this? Again, same idea. Boom. That's a break for me. Again, same thing goes, right?
Right.
So that's my MB2. So now I have double MB within an MB, which means I have this completely complete. All that matters now is this, which means I can refine to this SND or this SND, which means if we look at this, where did this double MB come from? Did it come from this low? No, it came from this push here. You see this push? So now what I could do is I could confirm this point as well, or refine it to this wick. Because remember, on some time frame, this candle here is a wick.
Yeah.
Now, because it was so close to this, and because of all these lows, this is the smallest discrepancy ever, but for me, all these lows and instantly close to this one, I deleted this zone and still was happy to use this one or this one only. But the reason these are both still valid is because guess what? They're still part of MB1, MB2. So MB1, MB2, both valid, right? We're valid to use both of them. As long as we don't get another break, another MB3, it's all valid. So as long as price doesn't pull back here and then break, I'm happy to use either one of these.
100%.
Great. So now all I'm waiting for is the price to tap in. Price taps in. At that point, I'm on the 1 second chart. That's it. And now I'm watching it. Same thing goes. What made this low? Low made by this high. All I'm waiting for is a break for MB1, right? Just waiting for two MBs. Again, MB1, MB2. Just waiting. Okay, starts going up. Breaks down again. What made this low? This high, right? Why this high? Breaks above, breaks down. You see that? So again, now it's going to get a little fishy because it's a 1 second. It's hard to see, but it's the same rule. Sorry, you wanna take that call?
Sorry, it's my wife actually. Can I?
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
Go ahead. No, listen, it's okay because we have 30 minutes. We're about 40. I'm gonna finish this explanation and then we're gonna cut it off, right? Because we've been way over time.
Okay.
Yeah. So no worries.
Let me tell you quickly. My best. Boom. Boom. Where boom? Ngiyaqeda manje please. Sele kancane ngiyaqeda. Sharp. Sorry, man.
Yeah, you're good. So again, and why am I still willing to use this high and still using this low even though it's below this point? Because I'm aware of my own concept of displacement, right? Which means that even though this might be, breaking a zone, I'm aware that this entire bullish zone is being held from here. So anything that really starts to look long and give me my zones, I'm happy to use, even though it's technically under my S&D. Because what's happening, what it means to me is that this demand is being heavily demanded if price comes right below it and then instantly comes up. Because what that means is whatever institution is looking to mitigate or was looking to mitigate these points are now looking to very, very aggressively buy up price that's basically very cheap. This is the only kind of discount pricing I think about. Because what this means is at this point, they're trying to protect above here. And if it jumps here, that for them is a very cheap price. So they're willing to put millions on just buying up that price point, right? That's how I think about it. So great. So again, if we get a break, fantastic. If we don't, that's it. Everything is canceled. The entire trade idea is canceled, right? So, and this happens to me like a lot. It's hard for a lot of people to do what I do because they see it. They're like, wow, this is great entries. But to get to the point where this entry is confirmed properly and doesn't just run without you takes a lot, right? Because you saw what I did. We're confirming so many things and waiting for retouches. And if they don't happen, price is going to run without us. Because I've seen this happen all the time, right? Bearish market, bullish MB1, bullish MB2, boom, we're off. There's no return. I need the return for myself. That's it, right? But that's part of the game. You know, it's how you act. So again, high, low, waiting. So again, what am I seeing here? This is me seeing them buy up. Again, do I care about all this inside structure? No. All I care about is a break of this to remake a new MB1. So waiting for the MB1. MB1. Now, am I placing a trade yet? No, because for me to actually place a trade, I'm waiting for a double MB. Because what that shows me is an actual confirmed direction. So I'm waiting. We get a pullback. Okay? That's a pullback. Why? Because it, again, broke a previous low, right? Just like my rules. Just like this rule. Broke a previous low, right? Here's a previous low. It broke it. If it breaks now, MB2, right?
Yeah.
So let's go back here. So waiting for an MB2. Waiting, right? Still equal highs, so not a break yet. Boom. MB2.
I see.
Done. MB2 is in motion. Now, MB2. So now, we can start placing our trades. Where, again, because I'm doing this instantly, but I'm doing this slower for you, because I can see this, right, instantly. I already know where I put my trade, but I look at this and I say, where did this move come from? For me, you could say this candle here, but that's very low. Instead, you see this big candle here?
Yeah.
That's what I liked. Why? Because what I see is price pausing, and then huge sells being opened at this exact data point. Huge sells come in, and then huge buy up that never mitigates, which means to me that if there was any big institution or composite operator in this market, that's where the main orders are, and that's where I want to mitigate. So, first limit, place at the open there. Protected could be right there, but 0.5 pips right there, so I just made it 1 pip, I believe, from what I remember. I think I just made it 1 pip like that. And remember, what I also do, I also place entry on the MB1. And is it valid to still use MB1? Where did MB1 come from? This low. That zone.
Yeah.
You see that? That's again volume. So I place another order right there. And now 1 pip doesn't make sense because this is not a low. The low is here. So now 0.5 pips here makes sense. Again, I remember only this one got hit, this one didn't. But this is how I have my trade set up now. I have both of these trades running and valid. Now I'm waiting. Right now, again, if price pulls back and breaks, everything is canceled. Completely. If price moves, pulls back, breaks, everything is canceled. Because that's MB3, regardless. So if there's an MB3, that's it. My trade is completely canceled. So again, this is another good, what do we call it? Example where people will lose money because they're not willing, or like it's just too hard emotionally to wait for this kind of trade. Because it is. Like, there's a lot of waiting. And like even when you get all of this come together, price will sometimes just do this. And that's it. And some people will leave this on, and if price comes back, they'll get liquidated. Because now price is MB1, MB2, it's bearish. Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, so price comes and plays around, taps right in. So this is price tapping me in. Again, it technically got me in at a better price like that, but I think my broker tapped me in at the correct price at this one right here. So
100%.
Sorry. Shit. Okay. So again, this trade is still valid too. I still have this one open. Still open. Just waiting. Right? Still open, because no break yet. No break yet. Still open.
Yeah.
Still open. Break. The second this breaks, this trade is deleted, because that's MB3. And I ask myself, once again, where does this break come from? Well, follow it. This candle takes out this candle's low. Therefore, this is the low, which means price should not return here. Which means that's break even already for me. So I'm break even on this entire trade already at that point, right? So again, something very hard to do because, it looks like all my trades are so amazing because they run so far. But like, I just take a lot of break evens very quickly. You can see it, boom. Beautiful lineup, right? Beautiful trade. So again, already just break even on this trade now. That's it. Simple as that. 1 to 10, partial set, right? And now, again, price can easily just do this and then run. And that's fine. I'll take my break even and move away. I'll walk away. My trade wasn't there. Otherwise, it should run. Right? And that's where the big money comes in, when it actually sets up. But that's my entire setup. And then 1 to 10 gets partialed, so then we can go a little higher. Yeah, 1 to 10 gets partialed. Then I'm looking for 1 to 25 or so, which still made sense because it was just under this point, so I'm happy to use it. 1 to 25. Boom. Oops, not yet. Boom. Took 1 to 25 there. 1 to 50 right there. Yep, 1 to 50, looking just above that high as my next partial. Price comes up, gets really close, but again, because of my rules, I did not close this. Like, yeah, it's close, but again, I don't close this. I don't care. I'm waiting for my rules. Price comes down, I don't care. I'm still holding this at break even or hit the 50 RR. I'm like, for me, that's it. The trade's already a big win. I've already made 11.25 RR off of the trade, right?
Yeah.
There's nothing left to do. I'm just waiting and seeing if I can milk it for more. Because the context is still very good. Then price basically plays out until the end of day and still ends up below it. So I'll actually show you this. 13, when the 17 start? Oh, 15. 15 starts here. Yeah, so like all this just play. Look, makes equal highs, comes so close twice, right? So many traders, even if they're following my system, have closed either here or here. Now, that's not a problem, but why is it a problem? Because over time, you're going to affect your bottom line, which means when you make these rash decisions, once again, you're going to make them in the future, and you're going to lose money. So waiting, nothing, and that's it. That's the close of price, basically, right there. And I held the trade over the weekend. Market opens, gaps down, don't care. I still have my 50 RR set up. Waiting. Don't care. Boom. 50 RR met, took my partial. Once again, next partial was right here at this high at 100 and... No, actually, I think it was here. No, I think it was 150.
Yeah.
I think I had it here at 150 RR just because 150 is a good... I just like the number, so it made sense. Like, it's a far enough number that would secure enough. So that was my next partial, and... I mean, we all know it started at the start of the week. Boom. Liquidated. Great. Breaking even, and that's it. That's my entire trade, right? So that's how I approach this.
I see.
From my perspective, right? And now you can see that basically what we did is we used this model and this model to decide on a higher time frame, and then we recreated this entire model from this step one inside of there, right? This whole thing, if you put a circle around it, happened right there for my setup, right?
I see.
And at the same time, it was happening here on it. So this is one. This whole thing happened once here and is now happening two here. And then inside of that circle, we're actually looking for all of this again, right? So that's where all three of those things are occurring, right? But that's my system.
Makes sense. It makes sense. It makes sense.
It's a great system.
I'm
very proud of it. Very proud.
You should be. You should be. It's freaking amazing. Because what my thing is, what I was confirming is, when like the Elliott wave, one of the confirmations for me was when it hits the S&D. Geez, so many phone calls. Jeez, leave me alone. So when it hits the S&Ds, it's I wanted to do it had to confirm it for me with the 345. And what means it's all the divergence, whatever thing magics. But for me, the big thing that I confirm how it hits it, I included, so it's like what's this, a hybrid system, which for me it makes sense when I add what you're doing, because it actually kind of makes sense, because it's along the thinking of how I think about and how I see the market's structure.
Yeah.
If you know what I'm saying.
Yeah. So I mean, like, I love Elliott, right? Like, you can see here, like, I'm in this buy on, like, I'm in a lot of buys on Elliott. These are all, like, very long-term, like, you know, like, I think I'm up a lot on this one. Yeah, this one's been amazing. Like, I bought right here at the 2, because I thought it was the 2, and, like, if this is right, like, I mean, you know, based on Elliott, how much further we have to run. Like, this is an insane markup, if it actually is true. Right, but the thing is, what I've noticed for myself at least is trying to merge the two actually is harder, because for Elliott, right, what's happening is you're looking for these kind of impulses, right? And in what we're doing, we're looking for these kind of impulses, which are very hard. Like, these are kind of rule breakers in Elliott. So you're basically trading intermediary Elliott waves when you're looking for moves like this, which is why I tried not to conflate them actually, right? Because, like, it's really hard, right? Because in this case, like, on some time frame, this one is a great S&D and great, there's a good trade here. 100%. But, you know, it's just harder. It's a lot more weirder. So I prefer just to use Elliott on its own, like this, right? And just don't even consider smart money. Because I know that it's all part of the same branch for the most part, right? Because the way we do structure, even the way I just explained it to you with my institutional versus candlestick, that idea is based in Elliott, right? Because we have
Yeah,
this,
100%.
or we have this, and that breaks down ABC, gives our trade, goes long.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, 100%. 100%.
But yeah, like, it's a good time. I'm gonna buy on this too. Looking good. Looking good.
It's amazing, man. I think you have a fantastic system. I think I found a way of merging them, bro. And it's in a weird way. And my only missing part, I was trying to understand, because now I probably won't sleep because my brain's gonna, I know this freaking brain of mine is gonna keep me up. Oh, fuck. So I know I'm not gonna sleep tonight because I will have to, whatever you explain to me now, I need to explain it to myself now and get it as to as much as, you know what I'm saying? As
Yeah,
much
yeah, of
detail
course.
as you put it.
Oh yeah,
And
it's
start-
part of it. It's really hard just to take exactly what I'm saying and just be like, yep, got it. Easy.
Nah.
Got it. Makes sense. We're good. We're good. I can make money now. But yeah, dude, I feel you. I feel you. But yeah, I hope that gave you a good rundown of
I did.
of my
Yeah.
own approach, right? And exactly how I think. Because that's all I do, right? Everything I just kind of basically explained here is everything I've ever done. Everything, right? And there's just a lot of discrepancy and a lot of subjectivity and a lot of nuance, right?
Yeah.
Why do you use this zone and not this one? Because I prefer it. Why do you use this and not this? Experience. Why are you still considering
I
this?
hear you.
Because it makes sense, right? Etc. Why are you not even considering the MB2 and only considering the MB1 and not even considering this? Because this looks more liquidity to me and because of my higher time frame, so this is the only one I'll use. But here, you show me both. Why are you only using one? Experience, right? Very small things can change a system, but for me it makes sense because I teach from this standpoint of draw a story out, not only have like RSI above 80, sell, right? You can you can make money selling an RSI above 80 or buying under 20 or whatever the fuck it's called if you have a way to create a story, right? If you have a way to say, hey, US 500 and SP 100 are diverging hard, and now this is below the 20, that's my story for a buy. That could be very profitable. But the second you make it like very static, there's a chance you limit yourself, right?
Yeah.
That's why
Definitely.
Elliott, I find, works so beautifully. Because there is a version of subjectivity, but you're trading the snapshot of what you believe currently, and you're managing across that, right?
And for me, it's easy to improve a story. You know what I'm saying? So where you're saying, okay, in this story, this is what I said, and I got this wrong. So it's easy to go back and see what part of your story is incorrect. And then it's easier to refine your system because now you know what the story is, if that makes sense. So the market's just not like RSI sell buy when it does. Now you understand the story. So it's easy for you to actually start when you go on back and fixing your mistakes, it's easy to actually go back and say which part of my story was rubbish. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
So
exactly.
I understand what you mean. I understand exactly what you
Yeah,
mean.
exactly, dude, exactly. Put this
I understand what you mean.
here.
Mm.
Put that over there. There we go.
And
yeah.
because I am who I am, what I did is I actually did the Ment funding and I went for the $2 million because this just and it's a fascinating thing, man. It's just I've been trading for full time for about 7 years, and it's the first time in those 7 years I realized there's prop accounts. I didn't know about them. I don't know because with my trading I go into like I live in under a rock. All I do is the trade in the system. I don't know what's happening around me. But
that's honestly a really good thing. If you're like new, or like if you're a struggling trader, that's sometimes even better. You know, like I was under the rock, like I didn't even know what was happening for the last 3 years, but I was making money. That's one of the best experiences as a trader you can possibly have because now you know, right? Like that you basically know across the board if you want to, you can be profitable, right? That's really it. Yeah, so that's really good for you. That's amazing. Wait, so you're doing a 2 milli? That's amazing, dude.
Yeah. I'm on the 2 million.
Beautiful. Are you doing mostly Elliott then too? Just main strat, your main strat?
Okay, it's actually funny enough. It's a combination of the two now. It's Elliott and you see the thing is even with the Elliott, right? I did the Elliott using the Bill Williams, right? The Elliott system, but I've been on the Elliott system for so long. I've actually refined it to make sense to me. If that makes sense.
No, I agree. That's exactly what I did with like smart money, right? Exactly.
Exactly. So what happened is even what you were doing, I found a way for it to make sense and almost complement what I'm doing, and it just improves it. It just because there's always those little questions. What if this happened? So it's a weird thing, man. It's like what you did, what you do, and kind of complements it. It actually answers a question that I've had. You know, it's a weird fucking thing with these markets. So it's like it tells you a story. It's like, oh shit, oh now that makes sense.
Yeah.
So with that account, I'm actually using what you're saying and what it's an amalgamation of the two, because for me they actually look the same. It's a weird thing that I've refined the Elliott wave so it actually looks like what you're doing, you know. But it's just what I don't know, man. I can't explain it, but it makes sense.
No, I understand. I fully understand. I've been through
Yeah.
so many strategies and ways of trading and thinking that I understand how everything plays into each other and how you can basically, you can come from any background and find a way to add things without going like, what the fuck's going on, right?
100%.
Like, because what I've also had, like, this is a kind of a funny story, but, and it's not really a hater, but like, I would get sometimes someone messages me and they're like, MentFX, you motherfucker, I was trading like retail or something, right? I was trading retail and then I found you and now I am so confused and I can never trade again properly, right? And I'm like, dude, if you were profitable before, there is no chance that what I said made you not profitable, right? Like, the thing is, like that's what people don't get. It's like, if you were trading whatever you were trading before and you were profitable, it doesn't matter how many times I tell you you're wrong. You should know how to be profitable, right? Like, if you came to me and you're like, hey, Anton, I'm buying this shit based on Elliott, and I said, no, that's Wyckoff, you're not going to sit there going, oh, fuck, like, oh, shit, I'm wrong. Like, that's not how it works. You're going to be like, oh, well, he's just a trader, like me. He's executing his edge. He sees this, but I see this. I'm going to take it. Done. Right? That's it.
It is that simple. It is, and for someone to say that he was never profitable. He's just.
Oh no, I know. That's what I told him. I said, dude, you were never profitable before you like found me. You're like.
No, but the thing about trading is people don't understand the psychology of it, right? When you get into a system, right, a new system, like when I encounter it, I already know what's going to happen. At some point, it's going to frustrate me. It's part of it. At some point, it's going to feel like, what the fuck am I doing here?
Yeah, 100%. Like you're just like if someone is brand new and they just like learned Elliott even and just entered, let's see, what am I in on? CVS, yeah. Let's say they just entered this beautiful 1, 2, 3 ABC, beautiful. They just entered it, and then tomorrow or like the next few days does this. They're like, that's it. It doesn't fucking work. Like no. Like it's part of the system. You're gonna be wrong. Like imagine you could just be right every time. I wish, but no, it's not how it works.
No. But look, I think I've spent so much money. Oh my goodness, I've spent kids' school fees money. I've spent going through different courses. I've spent
business. Dude, you must love the $100 a month then. I feel like I'm pretty cheap now.
And the most amazing part is, of all the people I've spent a lot of money. Of all the people, you were the first one I looked at and like, this dude knows what, because he's not selling bullshit. You know what I'm saying? He's telling you what's going to happen if he gets shit wrong. Because I've traded for long, you start to sift out the bullshitters.
Oh yeah, if you've been through it and you hear me speak, you're like, oh, yep, they're actually like doing shit. Like, hey guys, yesterday I bought a Lambo, today I lost it, and then I bought 2 more the next day. Like that's what people wanna believe, but it's like nah.
That's the whole story. But it's a fascinating thing. I'm actually happy that I actually ran into this, man. It's a weird fucking thing for me. I'm happy about it.
Sweet.
Because I can actually see the changes in it. There's a trade that one day I'll send it to you. There's a trade that you were analyzing. One of the guys sent you in one of the webinars on dollar CAD. And I remember you said this is I even quoted you. This is some crazy shit. You said this is textbook Wyckoff, right? The trade was so perfectly Wyckoff to a point I took that trade and I could incorporate it. I'll send you a picture of it sometime, but I could incorporate it with what I'm doing, and it made sense. It's almost like, when you watch it, that when you hear the angels in the background. It was that weird. But at that point, when you explain that one, it all makes sense. It all made sense. It's a weird thing to explain, but it all makes sense all of a sudden. It's like, now that's what he's talking about. Okay, now this makes sense. All right. And this makes sense in my language,
Yeah.
But yeah, it's impressive though. It's impressive. But thanks, man. I think I won't sleep. I know my wife is gonna have a problem with me, but I won't sleep figuring this shit out. And then I'll hit you up probably in a week again. And
Yeah,
just
bro, sounds great. I'm looking forward. I'm looking forward to talk again. This is awesome. Yeah, and also, once you, if you, but probably once you get funded with the 2 mil, I'd love to like get on and talk more in depth and just get like maybe some marketing out of you for the men funding. You know?
You can use me.
Yeah, let's go. Let's
all right.
go.
No, it's all
No,
right.
but like it's fun. It's a good time talking with you, and like I think it'd be a cool video just to go a little bit more in depth. Like as you know, like all these one-on-ones are recorded, so like it was a good time. And even in this one, it's gonna be a good one for the mentorship. They're gonna love seeing this.
100%.
But yeah, dude.
100%.
Yeah,
I'm
thanks so
actually
much for
looking
jumping on with me. I know that the breakdown gave you some help, so that's really good to hear. Yeah, keep
100%.
killing it, dude, and I'll look forward to talking to you again. All right.
Thanks, Anton. Thank you, man.
All right, we're gonna stop this.